Yo, what's going on, everyone? Before we get into the Bleacher Report show, I got two things for you. One, just thank you so much for being patient with me on my uploading schedule, because over the last week and a half, I've been filling in for the overnights on WIP, so my sleep schedule has been wacky, my recording schedule has been all over the place, so I will be finished the overnight shifts this Wednesday. So after that, I'll try my very best to get back on a normal schedule as quickly as possible, but it has been a lot for the sleep and the, getting up at weird times and whatnot. So just thank you so much for the patience. Also, two here is Green Lawn Fertilizing. They are the best in the business. It is ridiculous how much my lawn has recovered. When we first started, before any treatments happened, my lawn was black dirt. It was literally non-existent. And it has gotten so much better over the first two treatments. I was able to have an outback party on Saturday with about 20, 25 friends or so. They brought their kids running around the lawn. They're kicking the soccer ball, throwing the football. We had music going, cornhole, having some cold ones. It was a nice, solid day at the office, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without Green Lawn Fertilizing helping me out and making my lawn actually look beautiful. We still have some treatments to go, but it is crazy to think about the journey and how much it has clearly improved insanely. And you need to join the Green Lawn Fertilizing family. Let me tell you this. Not only are they experts and extremely knowledgeable in everything they do, not only are they experts in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, but they are giving you 50% off your first two treatments. I'm going to say it again. 50% off their first two treatments. It's a no-brainer. Get yourself started by clicking the link down below in the description. Make sure your lawn is looking beautiful because it changes everything. My neighbors are asking me what's going on. Dude, this is too beautiful. I know, Green Lawn Fertilizing. It's crazy. Make sure you check it all out down below. It'll tell them that Brodes sent you 50% off your first two treatments. Get started today. Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome on into Bleacher Report on this Monday evening, and it is a big week around the NFL world. We got some big things happening, specifically on Wednesday with the schedule release, even though there is starting to be leaks, throughout the first couple of days of the week. Wednesday's the big one. And what we do know, though, is that the Philadelphia Eagles, they are opening up the season with the Dallas Cowboys. And I have so many thoughts, it's not even funny. My first initial reaction is pretty similar to what I've been seeing out there. It's a very popular opinion, but there's reasons why a lot of us feel this way. And that is, really? This early? Why? Don't you want these two teams to establish themselves a little bit more? Don't you want them to figure out who their personality is so then the meaningful matchup has more pop? There's more implications. There's more juice. Maybe, just maybe, they think the Cowboys are going to blow and suck to the point where they're not even an effective team midway through the season. So they got to make sure that this is something that actually matters early on. I can't rule that out. Those stiffs in Dallas who are such a joke. Maybe it really, truly is that simple, that they're going to be irrelevant. That Dak and CeeDee Lamb and everybody who gets so excited about George Pickens, but then they're going to find out real quick the turmoil that's going to transpire on the bench and the talking points from Jerry Jones in his post-game radio hit on his sports talk radio station. There's just going to be so much drama. There's going to be so much nonsense that they got to make sure they maximize whatever the Dallas Cowboys are in the early frame of the season. It can be that simple, and I can't rule that out. But I don't understand it because from a needle-moving perspective, you don't need to put these two teams head-to-head week one. It's week one. It's going to be the first game. Everyone's pumped. Everyone's juiced. Everyone's been breaking down training camp for weeks and weeks and weeks. It should have been the Rams. It should have been the Bears. It should have been Detroit. You can save this. Save this to week 6. Save this to week 7. Guys don't even play preseason anymore. We saw the difference in what the personality of the Eagles were week 1, 2, 3, and 4 compared to week 13, 14, 15. Why do you want that with these two teams? Wouldn't it make more sense to see maybe the Eagles have a 5-2 record? Maybe the Cowboys are 4-3. Maybe they're 3-4. Maybe they're 2-5. Their season is maybe going downhill. So now the Eagles are now hosting the Cowboys for a big potential swing of what the Cowboys season is going to look like. It's a must-win game. It's week 8. Doesn't that feel more reasonable? Doesn't that feel like what they should have done compared to this? Now, don't get me wrong, and don't get it twisted. I love the fact that they have to sit there and see us celebrate another Super Bowl championship, where they need to sit there and see the link. 60+ thousand people going nuts, getting hammered, screaming, going berserk, celebrating a championship and looking to start the season to a potential back-to-back championship run. That brings me pride. That brings me joy that those losers and those frauds and that fraudulent fan base has to consume their first game of the year knowing they're watching us put up another banner. That's glorious. And to be able to punch them in the mouth with Saquon Barkley and this offensive line to let them know we're still the kings of the NFC East and we're not going anywhere. Spare me. We can't have back-to-back division winners. It's been so long. Yeah, it's coming this year. So to hit them with a right hook, to punch him in the nose, to see a couple of black eyes, to see blood pouring out of the nostrils because you take care of business and handle Dak coming back with some rust just because it's inevitable. That's what happens with athletes after going through what he went through. I never want to see anybody go through that, but it does take a bit of time. It takes a bit of time to get established after a season where you're not injured, where you're not banged up, just to get a real sense of flow again. Let alone the adrenaline rush of trying to get your feet back into things and your mind back into things. And here's Vic Fangio and Jalen Carter, who is coming at your throat. Come on, man. See, as much as I think why did they do this, I start to process it. And I start to think about Nolan Smith coming around the edge. And I start to think about Zach Bond getting a big pick. Or I'm thinking about Cooper DeJean making a nasty tackle. This is the same guy that picked up Derrick Henry and threw him 50,000 feet backwards. So I'm thinking about Quinyon Mitchell putting on the clamps. I'm thinking about Quinyon Mitchell putting somebody in jail. These are the things that I'm processing, and I'm going, hold on a second. Maybe this is beautiful. You know, I talk the talk now that, I don't know if I like it, but week 1, I'm going to be out of my mind. Week 1, I'm going to be insufferable. Everything leading up to this game, I'm going to be going nuts. So I like it, but I don't like it. You know what I mean? Because I would be this nuts for probably a game against the Rams. Just because all the talk last year about that game coming down to the wire and the Rams had a chance to maybe stop what the Eagles could do, and Jalen Carter with the big sack, but it was a snowball game, and Saquon has a historic moment that's going down in Philadelphia Eagles history for the rest of time as he's smacking his head and he's going to the end zone and he's breaking free, and it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful to think about. So I would have loved to destroy and annihilate Sean McVay. I would have loved to crush Matthew Stafford. Any sort of pickups that they thought were going to help them in the offseason. Once again, once you see Vic Fangio and this defense, you got another storm coming. You got another force that is on the prowl, and you will see pain and suffering week 1, especially in this house, especially in South Philadelphia, especially with the link that's going to be what they normally are, which is amped and on 1,000. Plus, you're factoring in they are saying, hey, we are the reigning champs. I don't think people understand what the link is like during a moment like that. It's not just any simple game at the link, which is already ridiculous and already hard to battle in. I mean, I tried explaining this last year in the postseason. You don't get it. Playing here is an animal. Playing here is a different beast. And I know this isn't a playoff game, but it's a rowdy crowd ready for a new season, and it's a rowdy crowd celebrating a Super Bowl championship. So I would have been just as crazy if it's the Rams or anybody else, and then you can save that intensity for a Dallas matchup later on in the season, because I wouldn't have cared even if the Cowboys were 1-6, or if they were 3-5, or if they were 4-6, and the Eagles were kicking ass as they normally do, and then they match up and the Eagles really blow them out 38-7. I'd still feel phenomenal. I'd still feel beautiful. I'd still feel magnificent, even if the Cowboys are irrelevant, and they most likely are going to be irrelevant because they are irrelevant. But I would still have that, oh man, the tight fists and the freaking out and the face turning purple and screaming no matter when I see them, just because I hate them. And I think that their fans are losers. I think that they are very not intelligent. I think that they are brainwashed. And, the fact that they're celebrating George Pickens as if that's now the Super Bowl favorite. I mean, it's embarrassing. It really is. All right, so we may get a chance here to rub it in their face nice and early that we're not going anywhere. And also, we may get a Jalen and Dak game, which we haven't really been able to see that very often. I would love for Jalen to go cook. I would love for Jalen to get himself going in the passing game more. But this is why, again, and look, Dallas is dealing with some new coaches and there's the new staff and whatnot. So it's not just an Eagles thing. It's just more of a general sense of how this goes in week 1 and week 2, especially when you're dealing with a league where nobody really gets any action in the preseason anymore. And that is Kevin Patullo's never called plays. So a game that is meaningful to the standings, a game that matters so much, there's just rawness. There's rawness on both sides. And I just don't know if it makes sense for this to be what it is day one. But I also think I'm going to love it. You know what I mean? This is a very difficult conversation for me to have because I'm conflicted and my emotions are bouncing off the walls and going all over the place, but it's truly how I feel. The more and more I think about it, though, I would prefer if I can choose, and if I was Roger Goodell for a day, well, there's many things that I would do, but I would probably go in another direction. I mean, I already laid out why the storylines against the LA Rams would be a cool one just based off of what happened in the NFC divisional round last season. But Detroit would always be cool. You got the Dan Campbell angle, and you're looking at a team that's trying to bounce back from last year. They had a lot of injuries, and a team that's trying to get over the hump and do something special. So if Detroit, Philadelphia in Philadelphia at the link was something that kicked off the season, that would be absolutely bonkers. And even Chicago with Caleb Williams and the new flashy, sexy hire for their new coaching staff, that was the big deal. That was the big on-the-market guy that everybody thought was so sexy, they got to bring him in. That's going to be the difference maker. That's going to be appealing. That's going to be super pleasurable for the fan base, and that's going to turn this thing around. And you got a talent like Caleb Williams there that still needs to be formed and still needs to be molded to be a pro every single day and just clean up a lot of the issues that he was dealing with on the football field. But that would be something that would really do wonders here. And now, because there's some other things that are getting leaked, like late December, week 16 versus Washington, there's some speculation this means Christmas. And listen, I love the idea of Christmas. There's a debate going on right now, which is it worth your time on Christmas Day to watch football and it be the Eagles? Yes! What are you, drunk? What are you, silly? What are you, stupid? Of course! Yes, I want football on Christmas! There's nothing better than hanging out with the fam, having a couple pops, having a couple cold ones, having a nice feast. And when the Eagles game's on, there's no BS from anybody else. They know. They know that this is very important. Now, if it's Raiders, Chiefs, the wives, the misses, maybe some of the other people involved, the grandmothers, the grandparents, they go, I don't care. It's Raiders Chiefs. The built-in excuse of it being an Eagles game, especially when we know this team's going to be a juggernaut and be a force and be a top-tier team. You're talking about late December football. That's the already excuse. I don't have to deal with that anyway because everybody sort of knows, hey, we got a job to do. We got a job to do. But I'm just saying, it makes it a lot easier when your team is involved. Hey, listen, hey, we'll get the dinner when we get the dinner. We got to make sure this football team gets out of the first quarter here with the lead. We got to make sure these scripted plays are something that tickles my fancy. We got to make sure that we don't go 3 and out with our first 2 drives. And this isn't something similar to me wanting to vomit all over myself because the first quarter is just not what it should be. You should be up 17-3. Instead, it's 7-3. And you're allowing the other team to hang around. But then again, then your offense would take off in the second half. Or then you got a big pick 6 and you were able to generate flow and generate momentum or just an interception in general, which losing CJ does impact that. But I still think they're going to find ways in many different areas to have contribution to help turning the football over, whether it's Jahad Campbell when he gets healthy, whether it's Zach Bond just taking another step of Vic Fangio's defense, whether it's Cooper DeJean and Q, who just got a taste of NFL football last season. And as great as they are, you think they're done? You think they're not going to improve? You think this is who they are forever? I got news for you. They're only going to improve. They're only going to get stronger. They're only going to get better. So, I mean, if I get a chance to watch this team play on Christmas Day, I love Christmas Day football. It's better than Christmas Day Sixers basketball. The NBA on Christmas, in my personal opinion, is just dead. Regular season hoops doesn't do it for me anymore. You see the difference once they get to the playoffs. It's must-watch television, and all the drama is real. But, the nonsense of NBA hoops on Christmas Day is just irrelevant. Sign me up for some Eagles. There's other rumors out there. Nothing is truly confirmed. Maybe there's a Black Friday game coming in or whatnot. We'll see more on Wednesday. We'll see more over the next few hours or whatnot. The ones that I saw that were confirmed at the time of this recording is Eagles, Dallas, and then going to face the Washington Commanders week 16. But that's sort of what I'm saying is, that game most likely is going to have a very important result that matters to what's going to happen with this division and whatnot. You forget about week 1 very early in the season. Once you get to week 7, week 8, even week 6, sometimes even week 5, week 1 is sort of blah. When you have a vision and you think about your journey and you play the game of, weeks 5 through 7, you're on the road, but there's not a lot of flying involved. You can take a lot of bus trips. There's Baltimore. There's the Commanders. There's this, there's that. And then, hey, there's a really tough home stretch coming up in, let's say, November, and you got to do this and that. You start to bounce around all the hypotheticals, even though we're all wrong on exactly the W's and L's and how the season's going to go. We're never right on it. It's just what we do as football fans. And you think about maybe a vision where week 15, week 16, you have divisional opponents, and it could be where both teams have a very similar record, and this could be something that changes who wins the division or not. Don't you want that feeling? Now, the Cowboys are going to suck, so maybe this is all for nothing. Maybe this is all for blah. Yeah, I guess even if they do have some regular season wins, which we've seen in years past, it's not really that big of a deal because the second they get to the playoffs, they fold. They smash their damn head into the concrete, falling over. They don't know how to compete. They don't know how to perform. They don't know how to win. They don't know how to win at home. They don't know how to win. So, again, maybe it's all for nothing. Then I'm talking about late season hypotheticals on what this matchup could be because Dallas sucks. They do. They're not very good. I'm trying to see exactly if anything else leaked as we started this show off, but I don't see anything here on my timeline. The Eagles made it official about week 16. That was an hour ago. Somebody just retweeted it. So that's sort of what the buzz is currently. Nothing new on that front. Wednesday's going to be fun, though. I'm super excited to see when everything starts to drop and what we say the hard pockets of the schedule is where maybe they can rack up a few wins. And, what's always funny to me is, oh, this is a hard schedule, or this is a tough one, or this is easy. I mean, when you're great, when you're phenomenal, you got to remember that when other teams say, ooh, we got to play the Eagles, that's the feeling they have. That stuff, ooh, that could be an L. So we're saying, oh, that could be an L, and they're saying that could be an L. You got to remember what the other feeling is when other teams are walking through their W's and L's and they see that Philadelphia Eagles logo. When you are great, when you are elite, when you have this type of staff, when you have this general manager, when you have this type of winning DNA and this culture, even with some key losses, key contributors, Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, CJ GJ, even after losing that, how you were able to replenish the excitement of what Makuba could be and how much that guy is a dog and how much that guy is going to be a playmaker. I think we're going to fall in love with him rather quickly as soon as you see his style and his hard-nosed play. And, I've been seeing some of the stuff that the All-22 people break down consistently, and they're saying when they watch the tape, man, they're getting goosebumps thinking about what he can do. They're getting excited saying, yo, this guy's no joke. You can look at his size and be afraid of his weight and think that he can't handle this, but he plays significantly stronger and bigger than what it says on paper. And there's a reason why Howie Roseman saw him at that back end of the second round and said, yeah, let's make this thing happen. And I think that's going to be a tremendous pickup along with Jahad Campbell. But you got to remember what this group is. No, quote, hard schedule is ever going to scare me. No, quote, hard stretch is ever going to think that I don't have a football team that is going to do some serious damage because, and if you go back to last season's schedule, I think this is sort of why I feel the way that I do. If you go look at the 2024 season, how do I get to year on this site? Oh, that one's screwed up a little bit. Let me go through 2024 Eagles schedule and results. I remember everybody freaking out about how hard it was going to be to face. It was Rams, Dallas. Well, there was a few, actually. There was a few different stretches. The first one was Dallas, Washington, Rams, Baltimore. And just because they're divisional opponents with Dallas and Washington, you didn't know Washington was going to be an NFC championship type of team. You didn't know Dallas was going to have the injuries that they were. And you split with them most seasons. You go 1-1, and that's sort of how the feeling is and whatnot. But even though the Eagles went 2-0. You know what the Eagles did during that stretch of Dallas, Washington, Rams, Baltimore, when you're flying to L.A., when you're going on the road to face Baltimore? 4-0. Okay? 4-0. How about going on the road and facing the Saints, who was putting up a ridiculous amount of points in those early stages of the season, and no one thought they could do a damn thing against that firepower offense? W. And Dallas Goedert was a key contributor. He had 170 yards that game. He almost had 200 yards as a tight end. You brought that guy back, by the way. And who knows what would have happened that season if you end up not being 2-1 or 2-2 after 4. What if you're 1-3? But you got that difference maker back in your Eagles uniform, and that is incredibly massive. And there were some other big games. Cincinnati was a big one, and you went on the road, and I really thought that second half was something that changed my opinion on who exactly they were. But really, weeks 10 through 13 was supposed to be how the season swung. I don't know. Can they do it? I'm not sure. Is it rough? I don't know. How will it play out? 4-0. 4-0. No stretch will scare me. We'll talk about it. We'll break it down. But you can't lose sight of the greatness of Jalen, the greatness of Saquon, the greatness of Vic Fangio, the greatness of Nick Sirianni. Yup. Crazy we're here, but we are here. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. I can't thank you enough for kicking it with me today. I greatly appreciate it. I will see you guys tomorrow, same place, same time, 6 o'clock Eastern, right here on Bleacher Report. You guys are great. Go Birds, and have a great rest of your evening.